Alright, I already know you probably think this is a clickbait title. It is, but I mostly wanted to propose a question to you. Do you play the anarchy modes? You know, tower control, splat zones, clam blitz, Rainmaker, the objective-based modes in the game? The familiar tings to the COD scene that appears to be here now, judging by how many various teams I've met throughout various fests that didn't really want me to, lose the game, but just wanted me to feel pain. So they effectively let us win, but it didn't really feel like a win. Funny as moments like these are, they get halted by a fest, low-key, as a Splatfest can be boiled down to one big 48-hour turf war, only the final fest was a whopping 72 hours and appeared to have destroyed the city temporarily. So I'm going to go into the individual reasons why I think each mode can or can't be added, and why I think said mode would either skew the results too hard to be beneficial or have so much discordance that the game might as well not have happened at all, since a well-matched game of tower control can come down to anybody, finally getting close enough to the tower to breathe on it and start the gathering system. I even prepared a little bonus section that I know none of you would see coming. The following are all opinions of a player since Splatty 2. So I'm not saying this is how it needs to be, nor am I saying that this is how you should think. I'm merely tossing my thoughts into the digital ethers, just because I can and think I may have a point or two that could stick here. So let's preface. Now, the cloud system in Splatoon determines how well you played a match by measuring your actions and what you did in a game. Win or lose, you gain cloud. Hence, since it's partially attached to badges, you can gain a good bit of it from being a popular target, as any medals you win while playing will determine the amount of cloud your actions netted you from in playing. Should you win, you get a bonus tacked onto that, and if your fit matches your team's in any way, you get a little style multiplier and a cool nickname plate. This specific multiplier can max out at 1.4 times your score for a full team of clones. People don't really use this last bit unless they have friends, and even then it can fall right apart, yet nothing of value gets lost. A tower is set in the center of specific maps and moves along a track. It needs to hit 2 checkpoints which players need to protect it over in order to reach the final goal. I'm gonna be honest with you, you can play this mode to a complete standstill, not being able to get to a checkpoint, not being able to push far enough, storming the tower only to get restormed, the tower moving back to the center on its own because it touch starved, both teams wiping each other, which can happen, and then having to tread back over. This mode could basically be in rotation, in my opinion, because you can't really cheese it. Even if you do, there are methods of beating out said cheese, since most of it effectively gets neutered now that it's raised high enough off the ground for their shots to require guessing drop-off for accuracy, but not high enough that those on the ground can do little to beat themselves into the nearest lava pit. People can make sweaty composition-laden teams meant to protect the tower, trigger, and angle shooter, but it can still get beat out by little Timmy and his friends deciding to run every rendition of the dualies, or just having suction bombs when all of your buddies are jumping to the one person you designated to dance atop the tower. I mean, if Fall Guys can do it, the map gains 2 goals placed right inside of each base. The map is also littered with golden clams. Collect the clams as you make your way to the enemy goal to make it super clam. I feel like I've been here before. Use that to break the shield around the goal, and teammates can toss clams into it. Get as many as you can in there before time runs out. We got one that could be in, and one that can't. So, Clam Blitz is tricky when it comes to cheese. In soccer, capture the flag, hostage, whatever you want to call it, you only really need one goalie/jailer. So the other 3 players are allowed to do whatever the hell they want in this game of plant the flag. This makes cheese difficult to crack, because a team of all ink brushes can absolutely decimate a game mode for their team. Same for a team of spider squids who basically just need to farm clams, turf, and splats until they can get their stretching arms, effectively bypassing the defender altogether, only to get moved back to safety when the spec timer runs dry. Even thinking about it, a team could use all arrow sprays, and now there's just a tsunami of ink to deal with that has 4 focus streams for when you get too close. Then again, I can add the counterpoint of how some players are 3 barrels in and barely know how this specific mode functions. A golden bass is placed in the center of the map with a barrier around it. Break the barrier and carry the cumbersome catalyst through the map to the halfway point. and then to the enemy base goal. Okay, so I'm the only one of my friends that dedicated 2 whole days to seeing what the intentionally sweaty game modes were like now before the fest locked everything to turf war. So I've seen some hit when it comes to Rainmaker. Sure, you could have a conditioned and smartly composed team. Your dual user goes into max aggro, rolling around the field, distracting the enemy from the Rainmaker, while your 96 gal pumps the barrier with ink. The heavy splatling helping you win the gunfight against the ink wall before the barrier bursts. So now's your chance. And right as you have this perfect starting moment, the dually user ducks back so he can grab the Rainmaker. Oh, according to plan. Wait, why is he walking backwards and just trying to shoot the Rainmaker? I had this happening in almost every game I played one time. Someone would help me break the barrier, take the Rainmaker, then hide behind me. Honestly, putting this one in the rotation for the Splatfest might get people to realize that moving toward either base benefits the respective team. I mean, if you're gonna do the work of breaking the barrier for me and giving me a head start, then hell yeah, I'm taking it every time. Hence why this one stays out of the mix. Either way, stop walking backwards with the Rainmaker. Did we not learn anything from the Scott Falco video? Do we not watch Side of Salt anymore? Stop! Any step you take toward your base is bad because you move slow as with this thing, but you swim somewhat normal. So if you just happen to die, maybe after watching your protector die, or just your buddy, you'll probably notice that something in your game sense is screaming at you that you f***ed up because now there's a path straight to the checkpoint, and Rainmaker is right next to the frickin' checkpoint. A square, rectangle, or 2 squares of ink are placed into the center of the map. Depending on the map, the squares or rectangles edit something about the center, usually opening up the area over it while sectioning the actual zone itself a bit. Teams are then tasked with flying to the zone as fast as they can to fill it with ink. Fill the majority and the zone will fill out the rest itself. Hold it for 100 points and you win. Teams are basically tasked with domination, but you can cap by aggressively graffitiing at each other until the floor turns into superheated tar for your enemies. Clearing out the zone will only secure you safety from your seconds before the opposition returns in force to evict you once more. You can lock a zone down and basically turn the game into a tower defense, where you fend off the angry horde of 4 that constantly comes at your line to die. So yeah, pretty sure this one, surprisingly, can be put into the fest. If your backliner is good, Splatling, Charger, Bucket, they can definitely turn the zone into a choke point while you're trying to claim it, and that's if they don't have the high ground, because now you have to respect their sightlines or pay for offing their friends if you're on the enemy team. However, instead of locking players out of being able to play the game itself, a tower defense match can still be pretty fun from outside of the moat. IMO. Don't click off, okay? Don't leave. I promise this will make more sense if you let me explain. So Table Turf takes the entirety of our favorite game mode and gives it the top-down treatment. Players take turns placing cards to link together turf fields and cover the most area. Surrounding these special blocks gets you a special point that lets you activate some special cards. This action lets you paint over enemy turf without needing to predict their movements. In this game mode, you can basically draw with these cards. Filling up as much area as you can and seeing just how far you can stretch a build is the fun of it, TDH. Meaning, you can gain clout by playing cards, getting turf taking turf, predicting enemy plays and stealing their turf mid-turn, activating specials, winning and losing. You can even take some turf war badges and remake them into table turf ones. You could make a whole room dedicated to it since there's currently a show and a space in town dedicated to it. Just have the player running around the little upper area and be locked up there when they want to do table turf. Or don't. TBH, the weight room is pretty cool how it is. Honestly, it'd be cool for people to send challenges directly to their friends on enemy teams this way. Plus, it'd also be another way to, add a bit more data to the cloud system. Maybe skew the results so that way there's even less of a reason for people to complain or moan about being on the majority team even though they were basically picking the wrong decision, or they just weren't able to convince their sweaty friend to join the decision that made the most sense. Main point, tower control, splat zones, and table turf should at least be added to the fest. I think these modes can be the most balanced versions for a test run. They require a stationary objective that needs to be protected by players. There's still some cheese possibility on there, but it's beatable and still fun. Or one that's on rails and moves at a set speed along a set time frame. The objective not being able to move, but being able to be influenced, and the tower that slowly carts its way to checkpoints limits how people can cheese out wins repeatedly, since the skill changes can happen on the fly. Also, special weapons can sometimes shake up an entire game, especially if most of the weapons are basically just, hey, I'm now going to point a fuckload of damage at you. You should move out of the way. You're even more heavily reliant on team strategy and whether or not your team is still having fun bullying the opposition. With how Splatfest change up matchmaking, cheesy teams can be put in rooms to duke out their nonsense and prove who smells worse, while sweaty teams can duke it out deep in the splat mano a mano with their meta-hugging builds to determine who hasn't showered the longest, while scoping strategies on forums. You can have normal turf wars and the anarchy pro scene at the same time with limited destruction to the actual fun of the game. I'm not saying the turf war is bad, but having a choice of turf war, or turf war can seem limiting when there's a player-based boosting event happening. Now, until whenever I post next... Where the fuck is my apartment again?